Psychological criticism is also known as psychoanalytical criticism. It's really just taking the ideas of psychology and applying them to literature. Psychology is all about human motivation. There are two ways to focus our psychological reading of the text. Number 1. We can focus on the author and talk about how the text reveals the psychology of the author. Number 2. We can focus on the psychology of the characters. What motivates the characters to perform the actions they do, or what's going on the character's mind.
Psychological criticism stems from the idea of psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud had been an Austrian neurologist who lived from 1856 to 1939. He had found the theory to treat mental illness patients. The theory had been known as the talking cure, where patients try to vocalize their subconscious motivations to gain further insight. Freud believed the method released repressed emotions in order to heal the wounds and help cure the patient. The theory focused on three parts of the psychic apparatus: the id, ego, and superego. The id is defined as the part of the psyche that stems from the pleasure principle. The id stems from instinct and irrational behavior that caters to the unconscious. The ego is the rational part of the psyche. However, most of the activities done within the ego is unconscious. The id and the ego work in harmony between the pleasure principle and the reality principle. The superego is the censor of the psyche. It abides by the morality principle.
Here's some examples of literary works where the psychological criticism approach has been used. The Interpretation of Dreams, Shakespeare's Hamlet, and The Ego and the Id. The Interpretation of Dreams and The Ego and the Id were wrote by Sigmund Freud, who established the psychoanalysis, and the Shakespeare Hamlet were analyzed also by Sigmund Freud.
Example of a review paper wherein the book entitled Hamlet, written by William Shakespeare, shows how the approach is used in Hamlet's psychoanalytic criticism. Therefore, the approach was used based on the main character of the story, named Hamlet himself. The analysis of the story showed that the main character Hamlet portrays humanity generally as constantly afflicted by inconsistency in living, and he is described by his lack of courage and moral resolution, which might be connected to the author's background information.
And here is another sample review paper of how the approach is used. Is psychoanalytic criticism of Alice in Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. The approach was used by using the main character of the story, Alice. On one of the analyses, the main character may describe the identity of the writer and how he lived in his life and other things that are related to his background.